Welcome one and all, I'm Professor Something or Another, and today we'll be learning about some of your favourite movies. Some of which, based on historical events, and some of which have been false this entire time. Today I'm going to show you 3 very different examples of why you shouldn't always trust historical films. However, this film may be one of the least historically accurate films of all time. So without further delay, I present to you... Braveheart. A story about a man who, when his secret bride is executed for assaulting an English officer who tried to assault her, William Wallace begins to revolt against King Edward I of England. Our hero, William Wallace, is played by Mel. I hope they forgot what I said to the police officer Gibson. So let's start with maybe the worst fact of all. You know the princess, the love interest of the film where Mel Gibson directed and starred in, and well, that love interest probably wouldn't have been so great if it was more historically accurate due to the fact that, even at the time of William Wallace's death, she was over 679 miles away in France, and also the fact that she was 9 years old. We see Wallace as a man on a farm working his hands to the bone, even as a kid, and it immediately tells you the kind of hard-working character he is. This is only if you ignore the fact that the real William Wallace was the son of a minor noble, so picture him less living in a place like this, and more living in a place like this. Now, the issue of Wallace is the fact that his whole character in this film didn't come from many historical witnesses or actually accounts about him, instead a poem written by a guy called Blind Harry. Seems to have had a mop fall on his head. How unfortunate. Also, you remember when a man rode into the village saying prima nocta, also wearing a very phallic-shaped helmet, may I add? Well, that thing he talks about, prima nocta, where an Englishman can ride into a village and take a Scottishman's wife, that was never a real thing, ever. So now, the big battle. Now, the first iconic thing you see in this is just Mel Gibson's half-blue face. Unfortunately, that thing was completely fabricated. That was not part of any kind of Scottish tradition, and in fact the kilts they're wearing, well, they were ahead of the time, to say the least, considering that was more of a 17th century kind of look. The second big battle, the nobles right away betraying Wallace, while realistically they actually just left an already losing battle, making the scene where he starts hunting them down Sarah Connor style completely fictional.
Sarah Connor, I was told that she's here. Could I see her, please? No.
Next up, Pocahontas. Now, I know it's not surprising that a kids' movie based on history would change some things. First thing they got wrong was her name. Yeah. While she had many names, her actual name was this, which I'm not going to try and pronounce because I don't want to open that can of worms, thank you. But also was known privately as this. She also had many names. Pocahontas was just kind of a fun nickname for a playful one, and that one fit best to the Disney corporate machine.
Okay, pal.
The first tiny thing that Disney changed was having Captain John Smith to be the tender age of 19 instead of his real age of 27, and took some liberties with his presentation. And Pocahontas was made to be 18 instead of her actual age at the time, which was 10 or 11 years old. Yep, that's right. The story of romance is based on grooming at best and pedophilia at worst. Gotta love Disney. Smith and Pocahontas meet up after exchanging pleasantries and a musical number which I cannot prove didn't happen. This happens after instantly landing, well, realistically it took them a couple months to actually meet up. And while Pocahontas 2 features the return of many beloved characters, the real Pocahontas 2 was Pocahontas getting tuberculosis on the way back to America, but something tells me that that wouldn't make quite as good as a story. Now let's look at one of my favourite films, Captain Phillips. This is a little different to these films. It covers a historical event actually within the last 50 years. What we are shown is mostly accurate with his family and his crew, whilst relationships with the crew wasn't quite how it was portrayed in the movie. The majority of Gretchen didn't like him, and he was less of a team player than was shown in the film. Even the radio scene where he mentions to his crew to stay hidden was also fictionalized, along with the asking one of the pirates to shoot him. Also, the whole broken glass being left in the engine room was also fictionalized, along with the big bad villain speech of the mad captain. Their whole relationship was almost completely made up for the sense of giving Tom Hanks someone to act of. While they are trying to kidnap the world's dad, Tom Hanks, they refuse to leave the lifeboat for negotiations, and in a weird turn of life is stranger than fiction, they were actually willing to go onto the Navy boat to treat injuries. So why do films fictionalize real events even though these events hold no weight and drama on their own? it's still hard for the modern audience to care due to visually they've seen it all before in fictional movies. So we need fictional moments to build up relationships to the characters that are also shown to the audiences. That is the way we have been taught to care about characters in movies. So hopefully I've given you a new outlook on some of your favourite historical films. And while I'm not saying you can't enjoy films like this anymore, you shouldn't take them for fact and more as a jumping off point than a complete story.